Mm-hmm.
Our question for the day, the first question for the day, this time the format is that we talk about each question for 20 minutes,
Okay.
and I switch the question at the 20th minute, so I keep track of time, and so essentially we talk about
We talk about what?
we discuss three questions in
Okay.
60 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So our first question is, can we think of a refractive process
Mm.
that is not personal?
Can we think of a refractive process that's not personal?
Yeah. So in the in the last few days,
Mm-hmm.
we have spoken of refraction in a way that's similar to the process of understanding.
Right.
So uh, when you try and model somebody else's perspective within yours,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's been spoken of as refraction,
Okay. When I
right? So I mean,
Right. 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 Huh. Okay.
but I'm not sure if that's the only way to look at refraction. I mean, I'm trying to figure out if there is a way, of thinking of refraction as a very
Mm.
objective process, like
Okay. Okay.
something
So
that's not personal.
right. Right. Okay. So no. Okay. So it's interesting because I was reading something very similar to this. But anyways, when I went through the first days of the pictures that you have posted there,
Huh.
what I found amusing was that you are very particular about the surface, whereas I was thinking refraction is predominantly something that's mostly affected by the medium because the light travels from one medium to another, and that's why refraction happens, right? It's not just the surface per se.
Yeah,
But
but the surface is at the edge of the medium.
correct. Yeah. Then I realized, okay, so it's the edge, right? So surface is where two different mediums meet, essentially.
Yeah, and where they get differentiated.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So actually, for us, every act of seeing
Right.
is like refraction, because the moment light that is reflected from some object hits our
Mm-hmm.
eye, and from air it goes on to tissue,
Correct.
refraction happens. So at that level, today's question is trying to figure out if refraction can be an objective process, like an optical process which is not personal.
Huh. I mean, so when you say it's subjective, for me, the surface or the line that differentiate two different mediums is the set of moral values each person has, right? So let's say you live in your own reality, in your own set of rules, but then I'm perceiving it from my ethical and moral values, right? And then there's this line that separates both of us.
Yeah,
So
if you look at refraction as a personal process, then so the moral values come into question if you look at it as a personal process.
right.
Before
Huh.
that, before you are even a person, before you are individuated, you know uh,
Before,
before you are an individual,
right.
when you experience something,
Uh-huh.
when you are when
So you're saying, um, without those filters, right? Without those values. So try to look at it without those filters. Then what do you see? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because you can't do it, right? You can't look at something without the filters, but it can
Exactly.
happen in an unfiltered way.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you get to know of it, it will of course be filtered.
Correct.
I'm sorry, Prayas, when you say individual, does it mean a person who is self-aware?
No, I'm just saying
Uh,
an individual. So like if a person is standing in an empty room,
Yeah.
what differentiates the space, the coordinates of the space where this person is standing from empty space? So what differentiates this, this block, this person, this body from thin air, or from another person, actually, just to be more precise, from another person. So where does the characterization start?
I mean, the most obvious thing is the construction of the individual, right? I mean,
Yeah,
chemical or whatever.
yeah. So before that construction begins, the so when when you look at something optically,
Mm-hmm.
the moment when light is actually reflected light is actually hitting you, that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
That is a purely optical process which will happen in the same way for everyone.
Right.
And at that level, so we are talking about it in the sense of at the physical level, physical in the sense at the level of physics.
Okay. Okay.
So
mm.
Parvez shared this talk show in his Facebook group, and he talked about it as something which is not about physics,
Okay.
and which is when it struck me, actually it is only about physics.
Okay, I should look this up.
Moment of the where the refraction happens in your eye,
Yeah. Yeah,
then
it
you're
is.
not a
Yeah.
yeah, you're not a person.
It's a prism there. I mean, it's clearly a physical phenomenon happening before the other stuff happens. I mean, before cognition and before values and before all of that.
No, but okay,
Yeah,
so that's a reality, right? Like as we know it and as we
yeah,
perceive it. But
yeah,
if you look at how the world is moving, virtual reality is becoming more real, right?
yeah,
So you look
yeah,
at Oculus Rift or something like that. It's another way of saying reality is a conceit, right? It provides the sometimes virtual reality or the real virtuality, I don't even know how to call it. If you have
Mm.
experienced Oculus Rift, it's so real that you don't even know what's real anymore,
yeah,
because there's this seamless continuity between the world outside and the world within, or the world that you perceive.
But still the
And
perception
if that
happened after physics, right? Like after the optical phenomenon happened.
Yeah, but then there's no physical element there, right? Because it's just something. It's You're looking at a screen there. You're not looking at a physical person there.
no, but
But we
that's
still,
much later. That's much later. I
okay,
mean, you need to have been a person to switch the computer on.
okay.
Right. And
So
but
it happens much later.
the cognition of it, right? Or the
Yeah,
interpretation or whatever it is.
yeah, and like the digital reality,
Yeah.
uh, might be actually might not involve physics at all, but it happens much later. You've got to turn on the computer, you've got to look at the screen, you
Right.
need to have eyes that work.
Yeah.
Right. Mm.
So I'm not sure if it's so immersive that you forget all of that.
Yeah. So it's not seamless. There are scenes.
At some level, in the sense if you don't forget to breathe, right? I mean,
Right.
I haven't heard of people dying while playing games because they
No,
forget to
no,
breathe.
no. There are not because they forgot to breathe, but because they forgot to eat and drink water. People have died in China and Japan.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
36
I mean,
hours
that I've
continuously
heard
swimming. Yeah.
because
But
drinking
still, that's
water
a
takes
failure.
effort.
But you can't say they forget to breathe, right? But because
Yeah.
breathing is such an involuntary action, you just do it. Um,
No, but still, even drinking is also an involuntary action. You know you're thirsty, you drink. It's an act. But there are certain hindrances that happen. There may be some obstructions. So I don't know if it is forgetting.
Drinking is a voluntary action, right? I mean, so then that it. Hey,
No,
hold.
thirst. Sorry, thirst is involuntary.
What is that? Sorry.
Thirst is involuntary, and the next level of it is drinking, which is sort of you will go and
Huh.
do it. But there may be a situation where thirst malfunction. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we haven't experienced. Yeah, exactly. So we haven't experienced it, so we don't know. But people have actually died while gaming.
Okay.
No, but that is about effort. I mean, you don't want to get up and drink water, but breathing doesn't require you to get up.
Correct. Yeah.
So getting up is okay. I mean, getting up is not okay while breathing is okay.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying when you really don't want to do any effort, then breathing is cheap.
Okay.
So in that sense, yeah. So it's cheap, and that's why you don't forget to breathe. And but it's if you're, for example, one of the ways that people die from smoking up is uh, forgetting to breathe. They're so high that they forget that they have to breathe,
Hmm.
and that happens because at that level they have even
Real
lost.
virtuality.
Yeah, they've lost control of the unconscious involuntary functions also.
Huh.
But it's possible. So I mean, I'm just saying that the digital reality, the virtual reality,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it's seamless and so immersive that it just makes you forget everything else.
I mean, we are not there yet. We are not there completely, but we are progressing in that direction. Obviously, Oculus Rift is the next step, and then something else would come in where you don't have to wear those gigantic goggles or Android devices on your face, but then you'll just see everything, and then pretty much you won't be able to distinguish between the reality and the uh, virtuality. So it becomes the real virtuality then.
But isn't that something that we are? I mean, we don't know it for sure. We don't know it as real yet.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
haven't, and
it's like that catch 20. I'm reminded of that catch 22, that patient where there's one pipe going in and one pipe going out. And then
Huh.
the guy asks, why not just remove the guy in between and just join the two pipes? So why, what, I mean, Oculus Rift why is that person even there?
yeah, it
Oh, that's
might
interesting.
be just
Okay.
pixels. So I mean, the digital reality actually wants to drown or erase the individual.
Yeah.
It could happen. It could happen. Okay, so because there was this quote by Elon Musk who said, "We are not the end of evolution. We are just like a comma there." So the next
Yeah.
evolved species is obviously gonna take over us, and we shouldn't be worrying about it. Like what will happen if machines have brains, and what if they start to
Yeah.
dominate us and everything, because that's the natural progression. Neanderthals are not there to even think about those things, because we were smarter than them and those guys died, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
at a
we
personal
could
level, we will worry.
yeah.
But yeah, but I see your point. I mean, the world and the universe moves out as it has to.
uh,
But do you agree with that?
I mean, even if we agree or not, that's the flow and we just have to accept it.
The flow, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but do we have to accept it? How do we know we have to accept it?
uh, okay, if you accept it, there won't be pain. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, at a
No.
global, at a higher level, if you look at it,
That's,
things will
I was
happen, right?
thinking,
What
yeah,
you
I think
say.
that's kind of a fatalist way of looking at things. Like, if we don't want to evolve the way we are seeing the future, we have to stop
No,
it.
I mean, I'm not saying that the idea of evolution is faulty. I'm just saying that what if we are evolution? So,
Yeah,
We are evolution. We are
yeah,
evolution. I think
yeah.
that's an
so what
important
if,
point. Yeah.
yeah, so what if evolution is progressing through us, not
Yeah,
in
it is.
spite of us?
I mean, it is.
I mean, it's both. It's both ways. I mean, if we were to remove ourselves completely, it will be all fine. I mean, the trees will be fine.
The
But
No,
at
no.
the
trees
same
might,
time, we are also evolving, and we also have some paths to go through because this is also one channel.
yeah, so I mean, the cyborgs of the future
Uh-huh.
might be us, so we might be, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
is,
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
true, very true. Okay, so this guy's George McKenna, he said the moment that we invented language, biological
hmm,
evolution stopped, and evolution
hmm,
became a cultural epigenetic phenomenon.
hmm,
Okay, so this goes back to our discussion about language, and all this problem came out because
hmm,
we invented language and we have to speak, those kind of things, right?
Well,
hmm.
I would
So
take
this
it more
biology.
even back to the day we developed any tool, like anything. In fact, I have split the entire evolution to a point where the moment you decided to do a sedentary kind of life,
Huh.
uh, the
No, but
agriculture
isn't that affecting our physicality? Isn't that affecting our biology? For example, recently I saw something about how our reading habits have changed. Like we are taking in information bit very quickly now. Like how our eyes move has changed. So that must lead to some change in our biology, no?
in the brain, maybe, I don't
The
know. Yeah.
brain. Okay, so then that's again biology. Uh,
Anyway, sorry, you
Yeah,
were saying something, Moses, that the McKenna said that the language developed was that we broke from the biological world.
I mean, he said, I mean, till then it was more like a biological evolution, right? Like as Satya was saying, maybe, the oxygen content reduced, so we came out with, better ways to breathe. Our physicalities, our features change. But then in the future, it'll be more a epigenetic phenomenon, in the sense, we'll be creating our own exoskeleton or sorts, which will be these technological wearable devices, which we are seeing, right?
Is that
So,
biology?
so though they are not, so that's exactly. So if you look at it as a biological evolution, then you're accepting the fact that these technological exoskeletons are part of you. If you don't look at it as a biological evolution, then you look at it as two separate things. You're looking at it as a Robocop, right? Like a human being surrounded by technology or something.
Yeah, but you know
Then
what? That person who's inside that exoskeleton, their skin color might change because of lack of contact with sunlight or something. What I'm trying to say is there is biological evolution.
yeah, I mean, you cannot deny that just because we have cultural evolution, just because, after a point, I mean, I wouldn't say that after a point, biological evolution got replaced by cultural evolution. It just became a two-channel So, along because of language, we have been undergoing this cultural evolution, but also the biological evolution hasn't stopped.
Yeah. And also language, the way we speak, like some languages are in some ways, they use their facial muscles and their tongue in some particular ways. Other languages use it. If that goes on forever, then maybe our bodies adapt to that. Or if we all speak English, our bodies change to adapt to English.
So the second question for today is, can refraction be a curse? And is it voluntary or is it involuntary?
Yeah, refraction can be a curse, and I think maybe it is mostly involuntary. I don't know. Many times by doing the refraction, you realize a lot of things you wouldn't have bothered about in a way, and they become a noise, extra noise.
Now, we spoke about the possibility of refraction being something that's before the individuation process, so it's not as it possibly not being personal.
Hmm.
So in that sense, if it's not personal, it might be involuntary or not. I mean, that's the question. And can it be a curse in the sense that if is it a compulsion that we have to bear the consequences of, or it's something that adds possibly meaning? So like you're saying, Akshay, does it add noise or does it add meaning?
Yeah, so
If
it depends on the output of refraction, right?
Hmm.
So what's the output of refraction? Have we established that? Did I miss that?
Effects, no, I'm not sure if we looked at that yet. We spoke about the effects of refraction, which
Yeah.
which could be, which could be the same as outputs, but
see, I think okay, if we are looking at the output, it does produces meaning.
does
Uh,
it? I mean, I'm saying that okay, if refraction is something that's happening involuntary, as an involuntary process, just by experiencing things without filtering them because it's happening before our personhood is even active, then what if we want to check out? We really want to check out, but we are stuck.
no, are we talking about the input here or we are talking about the output?
We're talking about the output of refraction, the input for the person's experience.
Wait. Output of refraction.
Yeah, so refraction has occurred on the surface as an optical process.
Okay.
And so that becomes the input of the perceiver, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
the person, and at that level, it'll prevent you from checking out.
That will take us to our yesterday's discussion whether it can be we can the surface can be opaque or reflective or what.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I think, another way of looking at that question, but I think it could possibly shed a new light on that question. If it feels like we are going nowhere, we'll switch to the next one.
Okay. So we are now not considering personalization anymore, are we? Because see, when we use the word curse, there is a judgment to it, meaning and curse, right?
Yeah, so it's a bad tangent. It's being on the, so may bad things happen to you. That's a curse.
But are we attributing meaning to curse as a personal meaning, or is it just curse as in something, unwanted tangent?
Yeah, unwanted tangent. So, just like a magical thing. So imagine an animal cursing an animal.
Okay.
So just like a, like a magic, just like a spell.
No, but
Okay.
how can you define then that it is negative? Animal cursing animal.
That,
No, I mean, an animal curse might be, may you get eaten tomorrow morning.
yeah.
So that's
I mean,
wrong.
that's,
may you be
It
born as a
happens all the
human being
time.
in your next life.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Especially if they
Yeah.
were a cow, right?
No, I mean, I'm just saying that the curse, as in the, does refraction take us on roads that we don't want to walk on?
Yeah, I think so. I
So
mean,
in
if
that
there's,
sense, yeah, preventing us from checking out and
yeah,
forcing us to consume.
or forcing us to conform.
Ah,
But yeah, conforming to compulsive necessary experience.
Yes, you are forced to be there, so it is involuntary, and you're forced to be doing certain things that they don't want to be doing.
Yeah, so isn't this compulsion absolute?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at a very fundamental level, it is.
Yeah, so I mean, in the sense, we are here,
Hmm,
and like Neo Paradox is saying, whether we like it or not,
correct.
and we are here, and that is a curse.
But I think that is taking us into a meta again. Like, please.
Is it taking us
How
into
is
the
that?
meta?
Yeah,
I don't
I
understand how it's a
A
curse.
lot of us.
That's a pessimistic outlook, I think. Why is it a curse?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a.
Yeah, even I had a doubt if it's a meta like that, how can you define that it's a curse? Like, it's a very abstract. If you cannot deal with it, and it's already a input for us.
A given, yeah.
Yeah,
But we differentiated between the abstract and the meta yesterday.
I think
Abstract
so.
is the meta, isn't it?
I mean, that's what we figured that it's not. I mean, if anything, we have two things, and that's the abstract and the meta, and it's worthwhile to differentiate between these two.
Yes.
So uh, we are wondering if refraction can be a curse, and if it's voluntary or involuntary. And yeah, so if being here is a curse, then what's to be done from it? I mean,
I mean, it depends on the surface. Like if the refraction feels, it depends on how it is being refracted. For some people, well, I mean, not people. For some surfaces, it might be a curse. For others, maybe it's not. Depends on how things are being refracted, no?
no, but if yeah, sure, right. So yeah, so but if it's involuntary,
Yeah,
then we can't avoid experiencing the refraction from surfaces which
yeah,
are cursed.
yes,
So that
yes.
means we can't really, we are really at the mercy of the world, in the sense that, if I want to, if somebody really wants to have you experience something really thick and sordid, I mean, in that sense, undesirable,
Yeah,
then you can't do anything about it.
yeah. I mean, that's true at so many levels, like our consumer, our economics, our political structures, like at so many levels, that's true.
But what does a curse do besides mapping out an undesirable tangent?
Curse can also provide momentum for a new tangent.
Right. Before we go into looking at it as desirable or undesirable.
Isn't
So,
curse the next step? I mean, to decide whether it is a curse or not comes after much analysis, I would imagine.
Yeah, so half the times we don't even know whether we are dealing with a curse or a good thing.
True.
Yeah, and especially if it's involuntary, then you don't even consider it. I mean, you don't take it into consideration to analyze in the first place because you just know that it's involuntary, things are happening, and I don't see how or when you start thinking of it as a curse.
Yeah, and what you thought of a curse at one point may feel like not a curse at another point when you've reached a new place.
Yes, and maybe I'm just wondering if other responses would have already begun to take place before one is considering a kind of a value judgment about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I think refraction produces meaning, and how we take it can be either a meaning or a noise for us. So that
Yeah.
the moment it enters us, then it's kind of we can define whether it's curse or a boon.
It makes sense.
But overall, refraction produces meanings, so it is in a way positive.
You mean to say either of it prompts a response?
Sorry?
So you mean to say it either way it prompts a response, and so it is positive.
Yeah, in the sense like say if we, yeah, it is always creating a meaning. So it's on our situation whether we look at it as a negative, positive. That's why I think this curse is a bit of a problem to
Right.
imply a pessimist point of view
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
No,
I
but
mean, that's why I was
that's
asking the
taking for
word
granted.
curse. Sorry, that's why I was asking when we say curse, is that what we are meaning it to be? Like, is curse negative, or is it like you said, an animal cursing another animal? It has to happen and it happens. So it is an inflection point.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it as infection, so if a curse were to be infective, yeah, infectious actually, sorry.
Okay, I
If a
said
curse,
I said inflection, but infection is fine too.
so if a curse were to be infectious, so if it had some effective, kind of a result in the sense, that it really changes something on impact. So it's like an accident on the road and not like bad news.
Right. So it's noise versus.
I mean, it's like an accident on the road. So if something is going to hit you at high velocity, whatever you are, if you're walking, you'll die. If you're in a car, it'll get dented for sure. So if the impact itself has a corrosive nature, then I think the matter of judging it doesn't come up.
But what is corrosion?
I mean, corrosion could be corrosion is
Change.
generally seen to be a physically
Degradation? No, perhaps.
yeah, physically degrading process.
But if the degradation did not happen, the stardust wouldn't form and then we wouldn't come out of the stardust.
I
In the
think
sense, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry, I was quoting Carl Sagan again. We are made of star stuff, as he says. So, I mean, if
Right.
things don't degrade,
made
then
implies it's a union, not degradation. It's the coming together of elements rather than falling apart of things.
No, but
It's the
if
antonym.
the if the accident happens on the road, it's going to have an immediate effect.
right.
So that kind of impact. So if a curse is something which you could possibly, I mean, the cultural curse, the words that you say with bad intention. If those words, I mean, that's just a cultural notion of a curse. But if you say those words and if they could kill someone on hearing them.
You are talking interesting. I have been listening to these Kabir songs, and he said only people who are struck by words wake up. It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, so if only people who hear words wake up, and it might be the same about, going to sleep,
No, no.
going
I
back to
think what
sleep.
I'm getting your meaning a little better now, because when you are talking about curse, the Kabir song basically says it's struck by words. So you basically it's like you are struck by a curse in a way.
Yeah, and that's before you assign values to it.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
I
See your
think
effect.
events. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see now it as it does sound negative, but it has a positive.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's a change in direction. It's a catalyst.
Hmm.
So can you look at the road accident as a catalyst or as a change in direction?
I mean, for the person who's getting hit, that's an unfortunate or a fortunate, who knows, but immediately it looks unfortunate. But there are so many of these movies where a chain of events happens and somebody gets affected, somebody meets somebody else because of this accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if we can, I don't know.
So I think it's not as simple as black and white. Events happen, and we color it with meaning through our expectations or understanding or whatever outcome that we expect out of it. To our benefit or not. So I think
Uh,
events happen
right,
deriving
but
something.
when do we color it though? Do we color it at the point of impact or do it at a later point in time? Because then it becomes narrativizing, right?
So immediately, in fact, as soon as it happens, right, there's no delay because you respond, you react, you try to give meaning to what
But the
happened.
butterfly effect is
And
meta. I mean, you just, by the benefit of continuity, you might think that some things are connected and all of that, but you don't really know it. So,
Ah.
in the construct that we differentiated the meta from the abstract, I
No,
would
but
think,
if you went down the line of your own reality, and that eventuality may not have happened without that butterfly effect taking place. So if you look at it from a different point in time.
so in the sense,
also,
that's a popular kind of scientific stance, but I mean, correlation doesn't suggest
Mean causality.
causality. Yeah.
Not
Exactly.
necessarily, but that something happened, and there is, in this situation, we are talking about causality. We are not talking about correlation. We are talking about a curse. And what is
Yeah,
the
and
effect of
and we're talking about causality. So exactly. So what I'm saying is, we don't know if the butterfly effect is a chain of causal events or a chain of correlated events. We don't know that.
What is the butterfly effect? Sorry to be ignorant.
it's all connected and we all
Yeah,
affect each
some
other.
butterfly flaps its wing in
And
a
some
small
storm
island
happens
in
in the other
Indonesia,
side. Yeah.
and a storm happens in Western Europe. So it's all
So it's
connected.
all connected.
it's actually like an amplification, right? Like a small event
Ah.
causing an amplification. Isn't that what? That's what I understand.
Yeah. So I mean, which basically it's like pattern recognition at a very large scale. So
Yeah. So
it's
the
like
initial conditions, what happened in the initial conditions has a huge change in the final outcome. If there is a slight difference in initial conditions, there's a huge change in the final outcome.
yeah, but that is just fiction. I mean, I don't know if I can really take the butterfly effect for, I mean, for serious.
I mean, they measure it, right? I don't know. But I see your point. I mean, we can't measure everything.
I mean, I'm just saying that that is something that happens after the fact. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. So butterfly effect is just another popular narrative.
Yeah, and with this we go on to the next question. We've spent 20 minutes on the earlier question. Does refraction keep us here? And
Yes.
would we float away if not for refraction?
Yes.
I mean, there's so many questions. What is here? What is float away? What is?
No, I think yes.
Refraction may make us float away also.
Yeah.
No. I think it has an interesting meaning. Float away in the sense you get mired in the internal reflection and forget about the refraction. So refraction does give us a hook.
Yeah. So by cursing you, does it hold on to you? Does it cling on to you?
Yes.
No.
I think
It could. It could. It depends on the strength of your surface.
So strength in the sense how much I get impacted by the curse.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the strength of the perceiver. Okay.
Strength of the perceiver. Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean,
Not-
it's the
not the
same thing,
surface.
right? I mean, not the surface. So who is the perceiver?
Receiver.
Oh, who is the receiver?
Receiver is the one who paints that picture that comes out of refraction. Essentially, data comes out of refraction, and then
It's more like
you paint a beautiful picture or a horrible picture based out of it, and that guy becomes the receiver or the perceptor.
And
But
it could be more than one surface. It could be that surface itself. It could be the surfaces around it.
but
we're
I
more of a
thought,
medium than a receiver.
We are more of a
Medium than a receiver. It
We are
passes
receiver
through
and
us.
medium at the same time.
that's
I don't know if we can hold all that. It passes through us. And,
Yeah, some of it.
we just give it meaning and it's out of us again, you know.
No,
But
then
I don't
if
know if we
you-
can hold everything.
that's what Moses is trying to define. I think that the moment we paint that picture, the moment we define, we are the receiver.
Right. I mean, if you consider yourself as the medium, then there's no difference between the surface and the medium itself, right? Like, the surface is part of the medium then.
but I thought we were looking at refraction as an objective process before that happens, before the individual comes into question.
But then how do you define the receiver?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So the receiver is the individual.
Yeah.
Well, the surface has to receive first, and then it can transmit or do whatever it wants with it.
Yeah, but then at the time of reception, there is no receiver.
So that surface is also an individual receiver then.
Yeah.
There is no individual. I mean,
No, but the refraction is defining the individual.
not like we spoke about it today, in the sense that, you know, it could be a purely objective, purely optical process. It could be an objective process in the sense that it has nothing to do with the individual.
So there is a surface that's receiving something.
Yeah, that's okay. But does the reception imply a receiver?
It may or may not. You're right. It may or may not. Because the imply reception means when you say reception, then there is some processing happening after the reception has happened.
Yeah, I mean, so you can imagine a radio, but if you imagine somebody listening to the radio, then the individual comes into question. And
No, so in that, if you say radio and listener, who is the receiver then?
yeah, there is, I mean, the listener, but I don't think the receiver exists. I mean, I don't think the listener exists in this model.
Right.
Why it does not
You're
exist?
saying that the eardrum exists.
Yeah. Akshay, it doesn't exist because we tried to zoom in today, and in the zooming in, we were talking about refraction happening at a level before the individual even exists.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. How does it define the eardrum then? Whose eardrum?
So it's a very physical process. I mean, not physical in the sense of tangible, but like about defined by physics, as framed by physics.
Hmm. Okay.
But if you're zooming in to that extent, then where did the question of curse come in?
I mean, that's why the curse was it was a good joke to yeah. I mean, in the sense bring in, because it sounded like it's a curse sounds like it's a bad thing, and badness is defined by culture, and culture involves individuals. But then we spoke about the curse as something that has a corrosive effect by default, irrespective of culture, irrespective of language. And so that kind of took care of the curse as not being something outside this.
And what about floating away?
Exactly. So if you have the surface, and the surface, which is kind of like an eardrum, is receiving, who's floating away?
You can still float and receive while floating.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what keeps the eardrum in the same place? Is it the sound?
It doesn't. It's not in the same place.
Why?
It's moving.
How is it moving?
Why is it not moving? Nothing
No,
is
no. I
still.
mean, seriously. I mean,
No,
how
I'm
is it?
serious. If you talk of floating away, if you talk of the receiver floating away, and you're talking of the receiver, the eardrum being the crucial part, then why would it have to be stationary? Why are we assuming a stillness
Yeah,
in the
so
first place?
I mean, I'm just saying, okay, the second part of the question maybe is just qualifying the first part. So basically, maybe the only question here is, does refraction keep us here?
It's
Which means
irrelevant.
Whether it keeps us here or not.
Exactly.
Why?
Because the refraction is happening one way or another.
Yeah, it's involuntary. So, I mean, I'm just wondering if this compulsion to experience that we talked about, this, involuntary refraction, is this what is defining our presence, our kind of, our being here? And if this were not to be, if the noise were to disappear, would we disappear also?
Yeah, we would. Obviously, because we would not be connected with the stream of this consciousness then.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that sense, it's not really a funny question.
Absolutely, it's not.
if the physicality is not there, then we're not here.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's like these claws that are going out, and if these claws grip you, you are here. If they don't grip you, you're not here.
Wait a minute. Where did consciousness come in when we're talking of the eardrum?
The consciousness is the sound that's hitting the eardrum.
Yeah.
We were talking about floating away and staying here.
Yeah.
That's why.
And here is in the sense of always bringing it. I think using the word here always brings in consciousness by default. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't talk about a notion of here without. Okay, if here, then where? So it's in a. I mean, here lives in a pocket of consciousness, if anywhere.
Yeah, consciousness is as simple as I hearing something or I seeing something. It's if I'm conscious, I'm seeing, and it's not a spiritual word. If at all, it sounds like that.
It's the container though, and so yesterday we were talking about how talking about the container when we are actually contained
Mm-hmm.
is the meta, and that's something which we are trying to do less of this time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are describing it like that, the eardrum seems to be part of the meta.
What is part of the meta?
The eardrum.
Yeah. Okay. How is the eardrum part of the meta?
Because even if it's me sitting inside an airplane, or
Yeah.
if it is my consciousness within the shell of my body, the vessel, where do you draw the distinction?
No, if I have a camera with a really big lens, and I'm looking into a mirror image of my eardrum,
Mm-hmm.
and I can actually notice the vibrations caused by the act of listening something.
Okay.
I can actually do that. So I'm not sure if it's something which I can only imagine and not do. So why would it be like thinking of the airplane in which I'm sitting?
I mean, you can still see the engine running, or you can have a video camera showing you how the engine is running in the plane.
Okay, no, but okay, right. No, but I can look at a mirror image, and mirror image is not a mediated image. But yeah, no, but you're right. So I'm looking at something that I don't know. Yeah, I can't look at it directly. You mean?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like the vessel and whatever are the recipient surfaces seem to be meta to me now.
Right. So I because I'm inside the body.
Yeah.
For me to look at the body from the outside
Yeah.
is necessarily meta, and we cannot do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Aditya, then before consciousness, we actually we have to roll back even before the eardrum,
Mm-hmm.
and because we cannot talk about the eardrum,
Mm-hmm.
but that takes us quite a way back. I don't know
Yeah.
what where we were before that.
Is it a curse?
Yeah,
We just
right.
float away.
No, we were cursed before that. So essentially, we have to start thinking about this, the third question, all over again
No,
within
I think
6 minutes.
I think the third question has to be twisted the other way.
Okay. So feel free to twist.
Tell me the untwisted version then.
Does refraction keep us here?
Okay, so we are able to perceive refraction only because we are there.
So refraction does keep us here.
No, we keep refraction there.
Yeah.
So refraction keeps us there, but not here.
No. There and here means the conscious self of being. So we are conscious at some point in space, and we perceive refraction. And if we don't perceive refraction, then it's not happening.
Correct.
Yeah, the true
So,
false.
but is it possible to check out?
To chicken out.
To check out.
Check out.
Yeah,
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, see. So this is the tree falls in the forest question, right?
No, it's possible to check out only if you know that refraction is going to happen. But what if you don't know?
No, it's possible to check out only if you know that refraction is not going to happen when you check out. But within this frame, like from this frame that we are refracting, and this frame that is refracting,
Right.
in its own frame, there is the inference that has been, there is an inference that is that there is refraction. But what is refraction, and how do we know that checking out would disable refraction, or checking out would not be this, or how different would it be? How do we know anything apart from this thing, this state?
Frame.
Yeah.
But you are assuming that we want to experience refraction, and you are assuming that refraction is not spam. It's not undesirable.
Or not a curse.
Yeah, or not a curse.
Wait.
But
It can be spam or not based on how I look at it. Based on what.
No, but the curse can be the accident on the road. It will dent your car. You don't want your car to be dented.
But maybe I'll get a new car.
Exactly. Maybe I like dents.
Maybe
Yeah,
you'll
it's
get a
character,
good
right?
insurance
Like,
claim.
Yeah.
No, but you can't. I mean, I don't know if anyone would consciously hope for an accident.
Oh, many do. For
Yeah.
insurance claims. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dogs hope for accidents. I've seen a sparrow standing right behind the wheel of a car, waiting for the car to back itself and.
That's
Oh, yeah.
because it wants to test its flight.
Yes, in a way.
I'm pretty sure all of us throw ourselves off cliffs. At least the ones who are in this room right now.
Right. But so so the twisted version of this third question works. So what you said, Sam, that we keep refraction there. Does it work? So I mean, is that what we have established?
That works.
We keep refraction there.
We are responsible for the refraction that happens.
Right. Yeah, that's a better way to frame it.
Yeah. It's the other way around.
Right. So there is a possibility for the actor to turn the script around and to simultaneously be scripting and acting out.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
User-centric design.
Yeah, but that's not funny. It's true.
It is
It's
true.
like that self-organized.
It can be funny also.
Are you think if it's funny, it's not true?
No, no, but I found it funny only because user-centric design is funny because it doesn't work.
Tell that to Steve Jobs.
I mean, I would. I'm sure he would agree because he never did that. I mean, in the sense that when you start imagining a user, you start reducing, right? You start assuming.
Right. Which user are we talking about?
Yeah.
As,
And
as
A
many as
Martian or
possible.
an ant?
As many as possible.
and we are not talking about user-centered design because we are saying that the user is created by the product.
Correct. So if the creator looks at the user as the reflection of himself or herself, then it won't work. But if he sees the user as a refracted material, then it could work. It could.
Yeah, so a user being someone created by the product.
A user is an approximation.
Huh.
But the product's approximation, not ours, not the user of the product. So
No,
we
the
are.
product is created for an approximated user. So it's an approximation for an approximation.
It's approximately manipulated then, the
Yeah.
user.
No,
But the
but
world runs on approximations, approximately.
no, but the only approximation that makes sense here is if you look at the product, approximating its own user. So in the sense that the actor, I mean, we keep refraction there, right? So I mean, I'm just trying to extend that into the user-centered design. So it was I think it's a good place to stop today. Our 20 minutes for the third question are up, and let's meet tomorrow. For the day 4 of refractive surfaces at 7 p.m. Thanks everyone. Good night.
Okay, good night.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Nice.
Bye.